This is the Anastasia Ryzhkova podcast. William, besides being a talented writer, is one of the most gentle and kind souls I have ever had the opportunity to speak to. We had a lot of fun talking about quite literally everything under the sun and beyond. Please enjoy. William Brown here today. Oh, awesome. We've got the video going.
Yes, we do.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm very happy it's finally summer, you know?
Yes, yes. It's
It's
good to have like that good weather, and I
it
feel like emotions are like high and at good levels
lifting.
now.
I think so. It
Yes.
definitely changes the mood, I feel like, whenever the sun comes out. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely different.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
I've met you on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
through your beautiful writing and your poetry.
Thank
And
you. Thank you so much.
no, thank you. I was very impressed by how conscious, if you don't mind the word, is your
No, not at
writing
all.
is. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
how in tune you are with yourself and I think who you are. Would that be correct if I say that?
Um, I believe so. It's still a learning process, very much. Like you're still learning about yourself, each and every day. I believe that um, you're never the same every single day. There is like little bits and pieces of yourself that change as you continue to grow and
Yeah,
everything like that.
I think so. I think we change all the time, actually. If you think
Hmm.
about it, you're never the same person that you were yesterday anyway. So
No,
who are
you
we
are
really?
correct.
Well, that's how. Who are we? Who are we anyway? What made you start writing?
um, I've been writing since I was a child, but I didn't always think that it was poetry.
Yeah.
I thought it was more journaling
Hmm.
than poetry and everything like that. And I just I had to write my feelings out. Like I was always that type of person that kept everything in because
Yeah.
not a lot of people understand. You
Mm,
know,
mm.
and so like how writing helped me to get like those deep rooted emotions that needed to come out.
Definitely. It's an interesting trend that I'm seeing amongst poets, actually, and myself really as well. When I was a
Hmm.
child, I thought I was writing songs, even though I can't
Hmm.
sing or play music.
Oh,
But
stop.
it
I think you're being
maybe,
modest.
oh, no, 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 not at all. I can't sing to save my life. But yeah, that
Oh.
was exactly the same reason I was writing. So were you
Mhm.
only write, like you say, poetry? Were you writing stories as well, or was it just feelings and
It was stories, um, and it was feelings. It was a mixture of both. Um, when I used to write stories, I often found that there were bits and pieces of myself in each character that I would create and put on paper.
yeah.
Um, and it's really funny how you kind of bleed into like your fantasy world
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very therapeutic and um oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I can't find like the words. Like it's just so good to like get it out there. It kind of like heals your soul
Yeah,
in a
that's
way.
what you're doing very great with the words that you're choosing right now, actually. I agree completely. I do love writing stories as well, and I
Hmm.
know what you mean by blending into the character. What
Yeah.
I've only seen your poetry. So will you ever put anything online out there? Are you putting anything online out there that are stories as well?
I have a couple stories on wetpad.com.
Mm-hmm.
I know like a lot of people go there and share like their novels or novellas and everything like that. They're not they're not perfect stories. They're only like fleshed out
Let us be the
ideas.
judge.
I'm so sorry. Like I get so self-conscious of, like about my work and everything like that. But yeah, they're out there in the world, and some like a lot of people have taken to it and everything like that. A lot of people haven't, and and that's okay. Like it's still a learning process. Like it's okay. It's your work is not always going to be everybody's cup of tea, and
Absolutely. Mm.
that's that's really okay.
Yeah, I don't think art should resonate with everybody. Any
Hmm.
art, there are paintings. I love paintings. I love art that is drawn, and because I that's not something that I do.
Hmm.
And they're not all. I don't like all Picasso's paintings, and I mean he was a genius. So there
Yes,
you go.
yes,
You can't expect everybody to love everything you do.
absolutely.
Mm.
You mentioned that you really like painting. So who would you say is like your favorite painter?
Oh, that's a really good question. I've been recently. I was walking around museums with my mom, and she is a much better judge of paintings, and she's very knowledgeable, all of us. But I've gotten to know Marc Chagall
Okay.
through his paintings, and
Hmm.
that's very impressive. I do also like Picasso, but my favorite one, and now the name escapes me, is oh, there we go. I can't remember.
It's okay. It's okay.
he's um he's a surrealist painter, and when I remember, I will let you know. But I love surrealism. That's my favorite type
Nice.
of paintings. What about yourself?
I I haven't ventured out that much into paintings just yet, but I
Yeah.
would definitely love to. I actually went to like a little um, art museum in Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania, a couple months ago, and it was, oh my gosh, it was so amazing. It was very, everything was very abstract
Yeah.
and everything, and it just gets like the thoughts flowing, and oh my gosh, I took so many pictures. It's so unreal.
I love abstract as well. I actually just recently talked to a friend of mine. He does abstract paintings now. He used to be my teacher in high school, and then he moved on
That's
to.
awesome.
I know, and then he started doing what like finally started doing what he loves, and he's a really good
Hmm.
abstract painter. But it is so interesting. I feel like when you're a creative mind, you
Hmm.
understand all sorts of creativities, all sorts of outlets, because art, like you said, art is healing.
Hmm.
So
Very much.
I feel that way as well. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yes.
amazing. Yeah. The best way to learn about art is to go to museums and galleries, like you said.
Hmm. Very
That's
much so.
true. Mm.
Has any like paintings helped you like write your poems or anything like that? Have you
Yes.
like gotten any
Yes.
ideas? Yeah.
Definitely. There were a couple of paintings that I've seen. So my parents were just here. They live in a different country. And
Hmm.
we walked for a lot of museums. I love museums. My feet were very tired, but I was very much inspired. And there's a couple that I've posted actually on Instagram. And one of them was just a question or a statement, I think, saying that there's only a limited amount of things that you can learn in
Hmm.
life.
Yeah.
And you'll see it when I go back. You'll see what painting it was. See, I'm not very knowledgeable on paintings as well either.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But that's something that actually upset me in a funny way because I love learning, and there's only a little bit that you can learn
I
in
know.
a short lifetime that we have. Yeah.
Yes, like it's so amazing like how you just said like our minds like it can only retain
Yeah.
so much because like we're in like this shell almost, but there's so much out there
There
to learn
is.
and to like see and everything.
I
It's so
feel it.
crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Our bodies are only limited. Well, I mean, what do you
Hmm.
think about that? Is that a sort of question that you want to talk about the lifetime of a soul and things like that?
Um, yeah, we could talk about that. Absolutely.
Mm.
Like, I believe that every human being, we have a soul, a spirit, that will go on into the next life
Yeah.
after this one. Um, I believe that, that we haven't even tapped in to like our greatest potential because we're in, these shell casings, if you want to call it that. Um, but like I believe that, after we have moved on into like the next life, we'll finally know a lot that, is hidden from us, things that we typically don't really need to know right
Yeah,
now, but we will know later on and in
that
our
that's a
next life.
fascinating philosophy. I have to say that I completely agree with you. I think
Hmm.
the exact same thing about souls and life, and that
Yeah.
we're learning, we are experiencing things, we're learning things,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
maybe remembering things. Maybe we're doing it for fun. Who knows? Who really knows what's going on? We have no
Yeah.
idea. We can only
Yeah.
speculate. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Like it's so crazy and it's so mind boggling sometimes just to think like our universe is so vast and we've only
absolutely.
touched the surface,
Yeah,
really. Like we only just made a dent in it, and there's just so much out there. Like I can't wait to know, like the reasons behind like why do we have other planets,
yeah,
out there? Um, what lies beyond a black hole? Like no one,
exactly.
you would never
No
know
one knows.
because like we
Yeah.
can't survive going through a black hole. So like
Well, who
you
knows?
know,
Or can we? I've heard this theory recently, and where did I hear this from? It must have been from listening to Joe Rogan. If do you know Joe Rogan? Yeah.
no, I've never
No,
heard of him.
he does podcasts as well, and that's probably
Okay.
where I've learned about that theory. It's when you fall into a black hole, you fall
Hmm.
into a different timeline, a parallel timeline of the same life. So you literally
Oh
don't die,
wow.
you don't survive, you just go somewhere else. Yeah, but who knows? Yeah, that's another theory or
Yeah.
speculation.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating to me as well. But another thing that's interesting about that is that we're going out to learn about the universe and
Hmm.
space, but we still have
Hmm.
no idea what lies beneath our oceans. There's still a
Ex-
whole other world out there as well.
yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. Oh
Oh,
my
it's
goodness.
interesting.
It's amazing like to think of like those hidden creatures that we haven't even seen yet. Like on the news, I can't remember
Hmm.
what kind of creature they said that they found.
Hmm. But it
Like
just
some
looks
sort of,
alien. Mm.
yeah, like it's something like we haven't even never seen before. Like I
Yeah.
think it was like bigger than like it's bigger than a killer whale or something.
Oh,
It's
really?
it's yeah.
That sounds
It's
crazy.
it's supposed to be like this outrageous creature.
Bigger than a killer whale under, like, in the ocean. Is that like are we
Hmm.
talking about Leviathan now or something?
I that's what that's
Who
what they made
knows?
it sound like. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
they
that's
do have the tendency to make things sound very scary on the news, I have to say.
exactly. Anything, to get the story going.
To get
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah, to get the story, to get some drama. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Oh wow, you sound like such an interesting person already.
So do you.
I love talking to you. This is awesome. Yeah.
Likewise. Likewise. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, let's go back to your poetry, actually.
Okay.
And I'm really curious on what your process is like when you write.
Um, to be honest, I'm still figuring that out myself. Um,
Yeah.
because I'm not that type of person that can just sit and make myself write.
Yeah.
I need to like know what I'm feeling
Mhm.
and why I'm feeling that.
Mhm.
And once I figure that out, then I'll write that out and then I'll try to dress it up and let it be what it's going to be. Either it's going to be, a piece of a character in a novel, or it's going to be a piece of poetry or prose or
Mhm.
something like that. But like I do try to set aside a time to write, whatever's going through my head. or my heart or whatever I'm feeling or whatever I'm seeing, smelling, touching, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Like you can make anything,
you can.
yeah, out of what you're feeling or, just going through your day-to-day process.
Absolutely. It is interesting to me that you can build a whole world with your words. A whole
Hmm.
different world. It's like reading Harry Potter or reading Lord of the Rings. I think a
Yes,
lot of
absolutely.
yeah. Have you read those books? Do you like
Oh my gosh, I am so in love with Harry Potter. It's ridiculous.
those?
I went
Right?
through all seven books in like a month.
Oh
Like it's
wow.
yeah. Oh my gosh, J.K. Rowling,
She's
like
amazing.
how she came up with that whole entire world. It's
Mm,
it's mind-boggling. Like
it
she's
is.
such a talent.
It
She is
is.
such a talent. Great
Yeah.
inspiration. Oh my goodness.
It is a great inspiration. It is interesting, where do those worlds come from? Is it
Hmm.
where does imagination come from? That's another question. Where do you think it
Yeah.
comes from?
I'm not really sure. I heard
Mhm.
um Michael Jackson. I believe he was like one of the greatest entertainers of like all time. He was
Yeah.
a genius at what he did.
Oh, he
Um
was. And such a
and
kind soul.
yes, very much.
Mhm.
And he said that inspiration or imagination are kind of like thoughts and ideas that we have to like pluck from like a cloud
Right.
almost,
Right.
and mold it and use it to how it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Sometimes it'll lead us, sometimes we have to like lead it, and that's kind of I kind of understood like where he was going with that, and I kind of agree with him. Yeah.
I see what he means. I had the same thought recently, which is ironic because I'm about to talk about thoughts. That when ideas come to you, it's almost like they're floating by and you catch
Hmm.
them, right? Or like, you
Yeah.
have that feeling when you're with somebody in the room and you think about the same thing. Where did
Yeah.
that come from? Was it just passing by and you just both grabbed
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah. And like a lot of the time, like those thoughts and ideas um come to you in pieces,
Hmm.
but you have to be the one to like work to add on,
Yeah.
to take away, to chip. It's like an artist sculpting almost,
Exactly. That's such a beautiful
like you
way to
have
put
like
it.
one giant marble
Yeah.
and like you have to like chip and sculpt away
Yeah.
to make this beautiful piece of art.
Well, it is. It is art.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah.
agree with you. So you would write something and then you change it, like you're saying, sculpt it and make it sound like you want it to sound more and more, right? Is that what you're saying you do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's exactly
Yeah.
how I
You're
write as
just
well.
yeah, it's like sort of like dressing it up a little bit.
Dressing it up. I like that. Dressing it up. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Putting pretty words on it
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
What
so
about your
nice.
process? How do you go about writing your poems and your beautiful words?
Thank you. Well, it's funny that you ask because I'm exactly the same. I'm trying to figure it out because sometimes
Hmm.
you just can't help it. You have to sit down and write. Sometimes I'm standing somewhere in the queue waiting for coffee and all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, where's my phone? I have to write things down, you know?" And you
Yeah.
don't know where that came from. And sometimes I want to sit down every day and write. And I think, well, where did that come from before and how can I can find it again?
Hmm.
And most of the time, I try and meditate before, clear my
Hmm.
mind, and then just start writing without thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then
That's
see where it
that's like a
goes. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
mm.
That's like a really, really great exercise. Yeah.
It is. Well, it's very good for the mind. Any kind of creative work, I think, is very useful and good for the mind. Mm.
Yeah, it's very freeing and therapeutic. Like I believe like,
Absolutely.
if a lot of people would, just write out what they're thinking, what
Yeah,
they're feeling at least once a day, I think it would help so much with the stressors of everyday life. Because,
yeah,
like in today's day and age, we're always on the go. We're always doing something, always thinking about the next thing. But if we would just take at least 5 minutes to
Yes.
just write what's in your head and your heart without inhibitions, I feel like it would make people feel so much better
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
life just in general.
Yeah, I feel like world does need healing.
Hmm.
And that's one way to heal. I mean, it's one beautiful way to heal because you are talking about your thoughts and feelings on a piece of paper, but you can draw them if you want to. But
Absolutely.
it's important to let hold things in because if you're holding things in, you're suppressing them. And I think you're very mature in saying that. How old are you, by the way? Would you mind telling me?
I No, not at all.
Uh,
I am 28 years old.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're about the same age as me. So that's
Yeah.
okay. You just look and seem a lot younger. You look very young.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I thought you were 23, so.
Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just feel like it is so important because if you're suppressing those feelings,
Yeah.
they won't, you will explode one day. It's not like they go away anywhere.
Yeah. Especially like when I think of like all of the horrible news that you hear on like the day-to-day basis, the
Mhm.
shootings of
Yeah.
concert goers and movie theater goers and kids at school. Like I feel
Mm.
like if those people who are acting out these acts of violence, if they would, just think about um, going in a different direction, getting those feelings out in a different outlet, a more creative outlet, like all of the horrible news, it wouldn't be as much because
Mm.
I believe they would it'll make things a lot better if
It
they
might,
did.
yeah. I mean,
They would feel better.
mm, I mean, hearing all these stories now, I think it touches the whole world. But I mean, living there in America must be, I can't imagine what that must feel like to be witnessing all of these shootings and the violence that's going on. It's like there's an outrage because I feel like America is the perfect reflection of the rest of the world,
Hmm.
like it has been for many, many years. And now we're
Yeah,
seeing that reflection. Um, they're very upset. It's a
yeah,
very upset world. That's the one thing I can say about it. And
yeah. It's almost like the nation is crying out for hope
mm,
in a way. And a lot of times, when you get to that mode or that situation in your life, you don't always know what to do. Like you're it's like raising a child when they
yeah,
get into like those hissy fit moods. They don't
mm-hmm,
really know what to do sometimes but to act out because they're craving attention. And I feel like that's honestly what's happening with this nation. But not just this nation, because I mean it's happening all over the world,
happening all over the
honestly.
world, of course.
Like with every nation, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a cry out for attention, and we need to go back to like those loving ways that we once had,
Yep.
for everybody.
Mm.
Like, and that's honestly, I believe that's the first step that we need to take. We need to start caring about our fellow man once again.
Absolutely. About caring about each other and not being afraid of one another so
Yeah,
much. You know,
yeah,
and we live in this global village and we're all neighbors like you and I. We live in completely different parts of the world, very different
hmm,
history, very different yeah, there we go. Very different history. And yet
yeah,
we're talking and we have so much in common. And I think
yeah.
people don't really think about that. They're not really
No,
taught that you can have
yeah,
that much in common with a stranger.
y- yeah. It's we've grown to be very selfish. I want to say not everybody, but our outlook. on, the world. Like, if I feel like a lot of people are saying, well, if no one's going to take care of me, I'm going to take care of me. But that's not true.
Yeah,
Like, if we take care of each other, you're going to be taken care of. Like, you don't have
absolutely.
to worry about,
Yeah.
yourself like that. Worry about caring about your fellow man, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll worry about caring about you. You
Yeah.
will be taken care of. Like, you are loved. You do matter. You have a voice. Your heart matters. And
Mm-hmm.
that's honestly what I wish the whole entire world would um, get back to seeing,
Yeah.
that like, you're here, you were created for a purpose, you matter. There's something in this world that you have to do that no one else can carry out but you. you know
I'm
that's
so glad that you write because the things that you say are so important to hear. They are. I think they're very important to hear for people. People
Mm,
don't know that there's somebody out there who's going to care for them or who really really cares for no
mm.
reason at all, but just because you're um, a fellow human being. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, a lot of times, people, you may have had like a bad start in life, but it doesn't mean that you're going to have a bad ending.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, it's like the little story of like Cinderella.
Yeah,
We come in
I
and we
love that.
see how like she's dressed in rags, and her life is kind of sad because
Mm-hmm.
she's under the thumb of her stepmother and evil stepsisters and everything like that. But like, as you go along in the story, it got a lot better. She found her happy ending.
Yes, she did.
So, and like, if people had like that outlook, kept up the hope,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to happen for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think the core issue is of the problem? Because I believe in going into the core issue and then finding the root and then dissolving it. And that's when the problems kind of evaporate and disappear.
Like, I think the core issue is just that, like, I think it's how I said before, like,
Yeah.
people don't believe that they're cared for.
Yeah.
And so they retreat to the inside of themselves. If no one's gonna, like I said, like, if no one's gonna take care of me, I'm gonna take care of me. That's where that selfish and bitter attitude starts to like root and starts to take form. But that's not the case. All because someone wasn't there for you, who should have been there for you in the very beginning, wasn't, doesn't mean that another person's not going to come into your life and not
Mm-hmm.
care for you. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that we need to take it one step at a time. We need to be patient. We need to grow from it. That situation happened to you for a purpose. And yes, we don't like it. Yes, it hurts, but we're not
Yeah.
that fragile of creatures. We are fragile creatures, but we are also strong
Yes.
creatures at the same time. Like, the human
Exactly.
race, we're funny beings. I think,
We
because
are.
like I say, like, we're weak, but we're strong at the same time. It's kind of amazing. Like, if you think about it.
I love how you say the human race because sometimes I do wonder if the aliens were really out there and they would look at
Mhm.
us, right, from other planets, what must they think of us?
I know. Like, are they really as advanced as
Yeah.
we see in the movies, or are they just like us?
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they are, if there were other races out there
Mhm.
of aliens, what would they be? Um, what would they be like if they were here?
Yeah.
Would they
Like,
would they would they be here and that not show themselves just not to freak us out? I don't know. This is the kind of things that writers think about. You see,
yeah, yes,
these are the
exactly.
things that go
Like,
through my mind. Yeah,
yeah, like I think, like, if they do exist out there in the cosmos, maybe they live in a different dimension than
yeah.
we do.
That's a
Maybe they
really
live
cool
in, like,
question.
yeah, like,
What do
maybe
you
they live in like this invisible world
maybe
that we can't access.
right? Maybe they are really dragons out there. I like to believe
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
wholeheartedly.
Absolutely,
What do you
yes.
think of other dimensions, by the way? What have you heard and what do you think?
Um, Growing up in a Christian household,
Okay.
um, I do believe, there is a God out there,
Hmm.
and I was always taught, like heaven is kind of like a little different dimension. That's where
Right.
like our souls go to,
Okay.
once we pass on into like the next life.
Hmm.
So I believe, like there are different um there is a different world. There is an afterlife after
Yeah.
that. We can't see it right now,
Well, how could
but
you know?
it's there.
I hope these questions are not too personal for you because I just
No,
love
not
talking
at
about
all.
these things.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
that's interesting. I believe that too. I think there is something else out there that we have no idea about, and
Hmm.
we can only talk about it. But it would ruin the mystery almost if we knew it now
Yes.
before going somewhere else. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got to keep, a little mystery. That's what keeps life interesting.
I think so. Yeah, that's what keeps it interesting. And that if it were a learning experience, which it could be, how would we learn if we knew everything beforehand?
Exactly. How
Yeah.
would we grow?
How would we grow?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Mm,
yeah, yeah.
that's true. That's
It's like
really
it's a
cool.
lot to like think upon. Like you can like think about this like all day long and still not come up with like an answer. It's really fascinating sometimes. Yeah.
I think so. I think it's very interesting that you can go on about it forever and then not really know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. You would never be bored.
No, you wouldn't. We'll talk about bored or not being bored. What
Mhm.
are one of your favorite characters that you've come up with?
Oh boy. Okay. Um One of my favorite characters that I'm working on right now.
Hmm.
Um his name is Benjamin Porter.
Oh, lovely.
Um and he is coming to terms and dealing with the fact that he has these psychic abilities. He's
Awesome.
telekinetic. So he's finding out that there's this other world that he's meant to be a part of, but he doesn't want to have any part of it.
Hmm.
Um, because his whole entire life up until this point has just been about him and his mom. His mom suffers from a sort of dementia, so she's
Hmm.
very forgetful, and he's constantly trying to make sure that she's okay. But later on in the stories, he finds out that his mom actually married a psychic.
Hmm.
Um, but there was this age long war that had happened that killed his father for power.
Oh,
And, and
drama.
yeah, and the psychic world, that's that's the name for it for right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, these individuals who possess psychic abilities, they went to erase her memories because no mundane human being
Hmm.
is allowed to know about their world.
Yeah.
So when they went to go and erase her memories of the psychic world and everything like that, they kind of bent her mind in a way where this is why she's like having that dementia.
Hmm.
This is why
Wow.
like her mind is so fragile right now. And so um up until this point, Ben doesn't really know that yet until like close to like the end of the series where he has to fight his uncle for the throne and everything like that. Um, his uncle actually isn't the true heir. He was actually adopted into the kingdom, but
How
his uncle
interesting.
believes that, yeah, his uncle believes that he's like the rightful heir. So his uncle is actually the one that killed his father.
Of course he
He
did.
doesn't know that until later on in the series and everything. It's this big old world it's still
Amazing.
being built and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I can't wait to read it. I'm gonna read it. No, this is great. This is the true hero's journey.
Yeah.
This
Thank you.
reminds me of the classics, you know, the Star Wars and
Hmm.
like Luke, I am your father, but not really. I'm your uncle.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds so interesting. What kind of psychic abilities were you exploring for this story? You were saying
Benjamin Porter.
telekinesis, yeah?
Yeah, Benjamin
Sorry.
Porter, he's telekinetic.
Mm-hmm.
What I wanted to do with the whole entire psychic world was to um, kind of negate or say that, the whole crystal ball thing, that's not
Yeah.
the real psychics.
Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm.
psychics are the ones, who have like the telekinetic abilities, um, the telepathic abilities. There is um, there are psychics who can cause like heart attacks. Like
Right.
their abilities make the mind like believe
Like
like the body is
empathic.
having,
Right.
yeah, is having like this heart attack and things of that nature. um
Huh.
yeah, it's literally a lot.
That's
There's just
wild.
so much here.
That's so cool. I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. What
Oh,
about,
thank
are
you.
you working on any stories?
Yeah, I'm working on one story that has no plot yet. It's just an idea, so I haven't started writing it. But I'm finishing my short story that I've left
Okay.
for a while, and it actually is about the Leviathan. That's why I mentioned the
Nice.
Leviathan. Oh, it is nice. It's this. It's sort of like this. I don't even know how to explain it. Almost like an imaginative memory that I keep on having about a
Hmm.
little girl who went on a boat with her brother and a big crew, like a big crew that was on that boat. And then
Hmm.
one of those nights, the boat came down with when the Leviathan came to find them and eat them, I suppose.
Wow.
And one person survived, and then the story changes from the main character, from the little girl because she passes away, to her brother because he's the only survivor, and he wakes up on an island and he meets the locals and the shaman, and I'm not really sure
Oh,
where it's going after that. I don't know.
but
I'm
that
Yeah.
it's so interesting though. Like I'm already captivated, and you've only like just explained just a snippet, really, of it, and it sounds so captivating. Like I love
Thank you.
those type of stories where like you're stranded on an island and you
Yeah.
have to figure out how, to survive.
How
Like
to
your
survive.
survival instincts have to like kick in. Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's one way of surviving, and another way I thought about Dorian is my character. And
Hmm.
another way he's surviving is emotionally because he's lost everything that he's had all his life. He's crew members and his little sister that he cared for, and he doesn't have any
Yeah.
family. And now, what is he going to do? Does he want to, continue living? Does he want to go find the Leviathan? I don't know yet. I
Yeah.
don't know yet. I'm letting the characters tell me the story, but you can
Good.
read it. It's on my website actually.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have to like send
Mm,
it to me, and like I would love to read it.
definitely. You haven't started a website yet?
No, I have not started a website just yet. I've been kind of taking my time with
Right.
everything and seeing, what I really want to do. Like right now I'm kind of more focused on my poetry
Yeah, of
and
course. Oh, I'm
and
not I'm
everything.
not saying it like, "Oh, you haven't started a website yet."
Oh, no, 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 no.
It's
No, no,
more
no,
so
no. No,
I
I totally
found
understand.
yeah, I found this thing called Squarespace, and completely not sponsored by anybody, by the way. But just so you, because
That's
you have to
okay.
tell people sometimes that you're not sponsored. But I found I'm so tech not savvy, so not savvy around
Mhm.
technology. I'm really bad, but yeah,
Me
that
either.
has
Don't
been
feel bad.
yeah,
Me either.
that
It's
has been
it's
amazing. Yeah,
That's good. No, I would definitely have to check out your website and everything. I would love
yeah,
to.
sure. No, sure. Just for the stories. It's not. I'm not really advertising it or anything. I really wanted to make this more about you.
And no, it's okay.
But it's
It's
cool to be
okay.
having this conversation. Yeah.
Would you ever want to like publish any of your poetry or novels?
Um, you know what? I think I might. Like a year ago, I didn't think that I would ever show anybody my writing. but
What? It's so good.
oh, really? Thank you so much.
It's so
I
good.
love
Like
it that you say that.
it it's
It.
so thought provoking, and
Thank
like
you.
it hits me in like my emotions. Like, yes, I feel the exact same way.
Thank you.
Like, I love it.
I feel that same way about your poetry. Actually, I wrote one of your poems down, and
Okay.
can I read your poem
Yeah,
without
absolutely.
just so you
Please.
know which one I'm talking about? I'm not, you know,
Sure. Yes.
it's definitely William Brown's poem, and it's I chose the beautiful things. I choose the beautiful things, and I choose the unlovely things because that is living, and I choose to live. I love
Oh
that
my
one so much.
goodness. Thank you so much. Thank
It's
you.
so
Thank you. Thank you.
simple, but yet it it means so much.
Yes.
There's a lot in it. I love the what how you used it. I love how you said unlovely things.
Yes. I mean, because life can be unlovely at
Mhm.
times,
Mhm.
but those can be like the critical things that help us to continue growing, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to continue growing and everything like that.
Absolutely. So that was in short that was going what was going through your mind when you wrote this poem?
Yeah, like I wanted to continue um growing. I wanted to continue to
Mhm.
live,
Yeah.
because there's just so much that this life has to offer still. And how we were talking about earlier, we barely even touched upon
Yeah.
you know a lot of it yet. There's still so much out there to live and to experience and everything.
It's interesting to say we've barely even touched upon it yet. Do you think the consciousness of the world is changing? Is that what you mean by that?
I think so. I
Yeah,
think we're changing every single day. We're not the same as we were yesterday. There is a piece of us that has changed, has learned from yesterday's experience,
that's true.
and now we're taking yesterday's experience into today's experience and tomorrow's experience.
Mm. It's interesting that you say we're not the same as we were yesterday. I read somewhere that we are, I think we are, I might be so off, 80% bacteria or something amongst that. So we're
That
80
that
yeah, look, that doesn't sound good, but it's good. Like the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, of course, some of us, but
Yeah,
um
yeah,
but we're not even, and these bacteria, they have their own consciousness, so we're not even ourselves, and those change all the time, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just an interesting thought to think
yeah.
about.
Very thought provoking. Yes.
I think so. Well, I like things like that are thought provoking,
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah.
yeah. It
Mm.
keeps life interesting.
So what are your favorite things to read besides Harry Potter?
um, right now, I am reading a lot of poetry. Um,
Hmm.
One of my favorite poets, Amanda Lovelace. She's kind of blowing
Yeah.
up right now.
Hmm.
Um, I love her poetry. I love Rupi Kaur's poetry. Um,
Yeah.
a friend of mine actually just published her second book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, May 15th. It is called The Day Is Ready for You by Allison Maley. Um,
Hmm. I have to
and
find her on
um,
Instagram.
yes, yes, please do. Like, her poetry is amazing. It's
Wow.
Oh my gosh, she is such a creative thinker, a
Hmm.
creative writer. The way that she pieces words together, the imagery that she uses, it's so thought provoking. So, oh my gosh, I can't like.
I'll
Oh,
have to
she's so
check it
good.
out. The way that you talk about her, I'm sure she's amazing. I'm sure you have a very good
Yes.
taste in art. So
Thank you so much. Thank you.
that sounds
Yeah.
good. Mm.
Yeah.
So reading poetry, does it help you? Does it inspire you to write your own? Is that why you choose to read poetry, or
Yeah.
do you find
Yeah.
it healing as well to read other people's poetry?
Both actually. because like I'm finding that when writing poetry, there's really no right way to do it. Like you're free to express yourself any way that you want to, and that's what I absolutely love about poetry. Because even today, sometimes I still get in my own head, and I'm like, this doesn't really sound right. I don't know if this is going to come across
Yeah.
right to to other people. How are other people going to feel? Like, are they going to take this in a
Hmm.
good way? Are they going to take this in a bad way? But then I have to like step back and be like, William, this is it's not as hard as you're making it seem. Like,
Yeah.
just write your heart out. It's okay. And that's what other people are doing. Like Amanda Lovelace's poetry is very different from Ruby Carr's poetry, or Amanda Lovelace's husband Cyrus Parker. His poetry is different from his spouse's poetry.
Yeah.
Like no two people sound the same
Hmm.
in their writing, and that's what I absolutely love. Like there's really no set way
Absolutely.
to do it correctly.
I think
If
that is,
you're just
yeah,
free.
I think that is so interesting that we are so different. And I do believe it has something to do with the fact that we're all souls.
Yeah.
And the way that our art comes out, it's never the same. If you've ever seen or been to a painting class where,
Mhm.
or like a weekend painting class where a teacher asks you to all paint the same picture, everybody comes out with a completely different picture of the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just so interesting like that, yeah. And it's the same
Yeah.
with poetry. It's never, I don't think there's ever enough poetry, and I don't think the world was never in, well, that's hard to judge because I only live now, but the world in such a need of poetry, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's like I'm glad that poetry is it's coming back, because like when you think of
Mm,
like poetry, like I know for myself, like I think of like William Shakespeare
yeah,
or Dante's Inferno. Like I think of like those type of like poets and things of that nature. But with today's modern poetry, like it's so simple but so thought provoking at the same time, and it grabs you by the emotions. Um, Modern poetry does. Like
that's true.
I feel
That's
and
true.
everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. I almost feel like the intention is what really matters when you write poetry. It's not just about putting beautiful words together. It
No.
has something to do with the energy that's been put into the art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It matters like what it's about putting your heart on like the on the paper.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked for about 50 minutes, almost a little bit
Yeah.
less than an hour. Um, you probably want to go and
That's
have a nice day off.
oh no, I absolutely love conversating with you. You have like brought up some great conversation, some ideas. Like my head is kind of like whirling right now. Like I absolutely loved our conversation together. Thank you so much for this.
No, thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll talk again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I really feel like I found a new friend.
Absolutely. I feel the
Yeah,
same way.
definitely. So I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope you go write something awesome so we can read.
Thank
And
you.
can you tell me again where that's those stories are on, or maybe you could send me a link so I can attach
Yeah.
it for other people and I can read it myself.
Yeah, I can send you a link. Yep,
Yeah, that
absolutely.
sounds good. So we'll do that. And awesome. Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that.
It's no problem. Thank
And
you so much.
thank you. And have a lovely day. And I'll speak to you soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I hope you do the same.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yep. Bye.